everybody, it's John, your Indian Cinemaniac, back with another 10ish-minute review from the viewer choice poll that I did. I hope you enjoyed the little change of pace with the music countdown I did on the last video. I've already gotten some good feedback on that, so thank you for that. Okay, so I have to be the bearer of some bad news also. You might have noticed this week we did not post a show on the big show. And the reason is Ralph, for several reasons, is going to take another summer break for the big show. I think he's talking about maybe doing something else. I'm not sure what. So our plan on reviewing Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and Barfi is now being put off. So the big show will not be happening for I'm not sure how long. Ralph did this last year. So who knows? I don't know how long it's going to be. But having said that, what I was thinking about was maybe, and I did this when Ralph took the break last year. I brought a member of the YKY gang onto this show, and we did a 20-ish-minute review. And if you if you think that would be a good idea, let me know in the comment section. If not, I will just keep cranking these. I will continue the 10-ish-minute reviews because I love doing them and I love the back and forth with you guys. And I've got plenty of films to watch. So that's just a little announcement. Sorry about that. We're not going to get to Barfi, but if you want to know what I think about Barfi, I'm going to put a link to the 10-ish-minute review I did a while back. Love that movie. Love it, love it, love it. So the film I am reviewing on this episode is Johnny Gadaar from 2007. A lot of you recommended this film to me. In fact, a lot of people in a row said this seems to be a film right up my alley. It's directed by Sriram Raghaven, who also directed Andhadhun, which I really liked. It stars Neil Nitin Mukesh, who was a bad guy in Seven Moon Maif with Priya Chopra. Dharmendra, who was in Sholay, the Amitabh Bachchan film. Rimi Sen, who is Sweetie. I recognized her from Doom 2 and 3. Ashwini Kalsekar, who was also in Andhadhun. Vinay Pathak, who was in My Name is Khan. Zakir Hussain, who was in Andhadhun. And Dayanand Shetty, who I saw in Singham Returns. This film was based on the novels by James Hadley Chase, and you see a lot of references to him in this film. In fact, one of the characters is reading a book from him. It's definitely and some people mention this. It's got a Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs. It definitely Quentin Tarantino vibe to it. But I also know that there's a lot of references to Parwana, which was a 71 film with a very young Amitabh Bachchan. In fact, there are scenes in the film played in this movie. And from what I understand, because I have not seen that film, a lot of the plot of that film kind of plays into this film. So this film is a heist film, a bad guys getting their comeuppance, a anti-hero. It's a lot of different things in this film. But I will say that, okay, let's start with the story, right? That's usually how I start. So this film is, and I'm not going to do the whole plot, but basically the film is some gang members, right? They're a crew, whatever you want to call them. They have to give money, 2.5 cores, I think was the number. So they each have to give a portion of it, right? And the gang it's Seshu, who's the older guy, Vikram, who's the young guy, the anti-hero, who ends up being Johnny Gadaar, um, Prakash, who's a gambler, Shardul, who's a rich guy who's married to Minnie, who's having an affair with Vikram, and finally Shiva, the young guy, big guy, who's in love with a nurse. So they're sitting around a table, and they have to give money to a cop named Kalyan, I think his name was. It's kind of like Columbo. But anyway, So there's a lot of references to other movies in this film, and from what I understand, this is what this director is known for, and this might be the first time that he really did it. But I kind of like that because as things came up, I was like, okay, I know what they're trying to do. So they are going to give this money to this cop for some reason, which to me wasn't very clear. Okay. And the way it's going to work is Shiva's going to take all this money on a train to the cop, give it to the cop, then come back the next day. So Vikram, who wants to run away with Minnie, Sweetie, decides that he is going to rob Shiva. And he actually does this. And the story is the repercussions of that robbery. Okay. Now, this is 2007. So I am going to spoil the crap out of this movie because you can't talk about this movie without spoiling it. So if you haven't seen it, I recommend shutting it off, coming back after you watch it. Okay? You have been warned. So as the movie progresses, each member of the gang is killed by Vikram. One was accidental. Shiva. He killed Shiva accidentally. In fact, the scene was he timed himself with chloroform, which, by the way, is a tribute to The Vanishing, where the killer in that movie did the same thing. And he times how long you're out after you've been chloroformed, and that's how long he figures Shiva will be out. Well, Shiva is a much bigger guy, so it doesn't affect him the same way. Well, they end up fighting on the train. He whacks his head on a sink, and I guess he breaks his neck. It kills him. He chucks him out the train, and now he takes the money and then goes back to the old guy's house, his mentor, Seshu. And, he pretends like, nothing happened because they find out the guy died and whatever. So now the story is about the progression. He kills the old guy, he kills the gambler, he kills Sardul, and he's got all the money, he's got the girl. And the big twist, which I did not see coming, I have to tell you, at the end, Sardul figures out that he stole the money. So there's a confrontation at this club in this little back room. And Sardul has the money locked up in his garage. And now he's got the gun on Vikram, or Johnny G. That's his alias. And as he's about to kill him, Minnie walks in to the office. Minnie, the wife of Sardul and the lover of Vikram, and distracts him, and Vikram kills him. Boom. So now he's killed everybody, the whole gang. So now he has to go get the money and not let everyone know that Sardul is dead. So he grabs Sardul's jacket and says, if anyone sees me, they'll think it's him. So the last scene is he goes, it's raining too. It's pretty atmospheric. He goes to the garage and he's unlocking the garage to get the money. And you see him on like the left side of the shot. And then on the right side, the lower right, you see a gun. And you don't see who's holding it. All of a sudden, boom, 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 he's dead. Now the camera pulls back, and you see it's Prakash's wife, who thinks she killed Shardul, who she thought had killed her husband. And she's talking to herself, I did the right thing. He should have died. So she thought Vikram was Shardul. So the moral of the story, crime doesn't pay because they all died. So the story, which I really liked, it was it wasn't a film noir. That's not accurate, but it was like, there's so many movies like this, like the Killers. I'm trying to think of some other ones. I'm trying to think of an indie movie that was like this, but it was just, nobody's got redeeming values. Even some of the women really don't in this movie. because like there's one scene where there's a police officer, the guy who was involved with this, Kalyan, I think his name is. He's solving it. He goes, I'm going to solve it in 2 days. Well, he ends up thinking Shiva had a girlfriend who was a nurse. Well, he ends up kidnapping her and torturing her, torturing her because he thinks Shiva stole the money. Well, there's one scene where he walks into this, another one who dies. He walks into an apartment or something, and she kills him, the nurse, this innocent nurse who had nothing to do with it, but got tortured by this guy. She killed him. So I'm going to give the story because I have to say, although I've seen similar stuff like gangs that turn against each other, the twist at the end kind of made it different for me. So I'm going to give this story a 4. I'm going to give it a 4. Okay. As far as the performances, I thought I thought all the performances were really good. I mean, the Neil Nitin Mukesh, who plays Vikram, he reminded me of a young Hrithik Roshan. In fact, he even looks like him. He was good in this. I mean, the duplicity, and then every time he got caught, and he got caught a lot, the old guy, because even when the scene happened, I said, "Uh-oh." There's a scene where the old guy wants to know exactly what happened. And he goes, I saw you drop him off. Everything should have been fine. Well, he didn't. Excuse me. The other he wouldn't have known that that Seshu dropped him off because someone else was supposed to drop him off unless he was there. So that was a dead giveaway, and that's when the Seshu figured it out and said, "Look, we got to do something now. You can't." And then he confessed the whole thing. Well, that kept happening. People figured it out. He would confess, and then he'd kill him. So his performance was really good because there's a real roller coaster of him getting caught, him trying to cover things up. Seshu, the older guy, there's a scene where he's listening to a recording of his wife singing. And then it flashes back to the moment when she was actually singing. And this is his late wife. Uh, when he gets killed, he crawls over to this tape record, not a tape record, but like a boombox, and plays that song as he's dying. He hits the play button and he hears her singing. It was kind of sad, and he was so when he realized what because he thought of Vikram not like a son but a young guy that he really respected, and when he turned on him, it broke his heart, and you could see it in his face. So I thought he was good, and the other guys were all weaselly and greedy, and especially the guy that played Shardul. He was like oily and gross, and he had no idea that Minnie was cheating on him until the end when he's dying and he's looking up and he figures it out and he's like got this look on his face like, oh my god. So I am going to give the performances also a 4. Now the music, there was only 2 like musical numbers, and they weren't really musical numbers because they were in a club. So it wasn't like this separate thing. It fit. It fit. The only thing was the first musical number, and you can tell me if I'm wrong or not. It sounds like they 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 were dubbing a very old song. It sounded old. It sounded like an old performance. It didn't sound like the person who was doing the singing. I know they don't do the singing, but you know what I mean? It didn't match. So I think that's what it was. Now, I loved the music in this film. The incidental music, because it had a 60s and 70s crime caper jazzy feel to it, and it fit this to a T. I mean, I loved the music. Um it was great. I'm going to give the music a 5. And I don't usually talk about the cinematography, but they really did some interesting things with the camera, freeze frames, and the director in a couple scenes used red, like stark red, to show certain emotions of the scene. Just really, really interestingly shot. So I really like that. And then so again, the music I gave a 4. So overall, I'm going to give the film. I think you guys were right about this. I really did like this film, and it was kind of right up my alley. I love Tarantino. It was just a surprising film for me. And I'm going to give the film overall a 4. So I really did enjoy it. So good call on that. I want to call out a couple of things. Let's see here. When they introduce characters, they put a credit with their name on it, and then they did this scene where they introduce the gang, and you see gang being spelled out in some kind of sauce on a fish. It was pretty cool. Oh, and then Minnie. Okay, so Minnie is married to Shardul, and they're in their living room, and she's putting together a puzzle, and the puzzle is Titanic. So right away, you know they are doomed lovers. So there's a little foreshadowing right there. Um, Parkash gives a foot massage to Varsha while Pawana is playing on the TV. Amitabh Bachchan. Oh, Seshu. So you don't, I don't, you know this if you watch the other show, but my favorite film of all time is Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones. Well, Seshu at one point says, "It's not the age, it's the mileage," in response to a question. That is straight out of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Loved it. When they're counting money. So they're at this table and they're counting all this money, and the camera's like going around them. And they're talking about Scarface because that was a recreation of a scene from Scarface with Al Pacino. Um, Kalen, he was the detective. He was kind of a jerk, but he's going to solve the murder in 2 days. He was like Columbo, the way he would question people. So I like that. Okay, so that's it. So overall, really enjoyed it. A four. That's a pretty big thing for me to give it a four. So listen, the next film I'm going to do, because I went to the movies last night and I saw the film The Fall Guy with Ryan Gosling. That's going to be my next 10-ish-minute review. I know it's not an Indian cinemaniac, but deep down, I'm a cinema maniac. Okay, Cinemaniac. Okay, so I'm going to review that film. I don't even know if you're going to be able to see it in India, but I'm going to review it anyway. I hope you'll watch it. I hope you'll enjoy it. And then the film after that, I haven't decided yet, but it'll be off the viewer choice list. So, as always, I know I say this every time, but I never want to take it for granted. Thank you for watching this show. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for your feedback. I absolutely love the back and forth. Again, I'm not sure when the big show will be coming back. I'm bummed out about that, but Ralph's got to do this now and then because he gets burned out and he's got a lot going on too. So, say la vie. What are you going to do? But at least we get the 10-ish-minute review, right? We're going to keep that going. You Indian cinemaniacs, we're going to keep it going. Okay, that's it. We'll talk to you soon with another 10-ish-minute review. Thanks for watching.